How do you deal with stress? Seriously, how do you do it? Because it's a question I was asked by Britney. And here's the thing. I think it's different for all of us. So I think we should all pitch in and help on this one. Hey, you. How's it going? How are you? It's AD Roundtree. Welcome to this, your Tuesday edition of the show. Yeah, your Tuesday. Like every day that goes by, that's another step that you are taking forward. You're doing awesome. Hang in there. You got this. You are a badass. And if you need something, if there's anything I can do for you to make your Tuesday better, hit me up. I'm here with you. I'm here for you. At ADSXE. It's where you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at ADSXE. Put it in your phone now in case you need it later. So I got an email from Britney who said, "Hey, AD, I love your podcast and listening to you on the radio." Well, first and foremost, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of my radio family. I'm a former radio DJ myself. Aha. So I feel like I can make a lot of connections to you on the show. I got out of radio to follow my dream of being a teacher. I'm currently teaching third grade, and I'm working on my master's degree in library sciences. Wow, that's smart people stuff. My question, how do you deal with stress? I've tried exercising and making to-do lists, but those aren't working for me. Exercising sometimes causes more stress just trying to find the time to do it. You got anything? Yeah, I do. Go easy on yourself. And I know, it sounds silly, it sounds obvious, but here's the thing. If you have listened to the show for any length of time, you know that stuff like stress and depression and managing all of the above, these are the things that I turn to. I make to-do lists. I find that writing down everything I need to do at the beginning of my day and crossing them off one by one helps me stay organized and helps me freak out less about what I have to do next. I have ADD, I'm dyslexic, and that simple little bit of organization removes a lot of stress for me. It's kind of a roadmap for my day. I need to know what I'm doing from one moment to the next because, well, if I get distracted, it can take me a long time to get back on track, during which point I've probably forgotten some things I have to do and all of a sudden I'm behind, or I've forgotten to do something and I'm a stressed out mess. So the to-do list really helps me. The other thing that I believe in is exercise. I think exercise is a great way to manage stress. I think exercise is a great way to manage your emotions. I think exercise does so much for you mentally. When you are exercising, it takes consistency and time to see any visible results, I think, in your body. I think, generally speaking, if you have a program and you stick to it, it's got to be about 3 months before you notice any real changes. But with the mental stuff, I notice a change almost overnight. When I am exercising regularly, I notice I deal with the world better. However, Brittany, I completely relate to the inability to find time and that sort of adding to your stress. And that's why I say take it easy on yourself. You, me, all of us that have been doing this podcast thing together for a while, we've talked about it numerous times. Failure isn't getting knocked down. Failure is not getting back up again. If you are on a diet, if you are trying to lose some weight, burn some fat, trying to be a ripped, toned, shredded, single-digit body fat having super athlete with a noticeable six-pack that you can parade around the beach or the swimming pool all summer long, and you slip up, you eat some cookies that you weren't necessarily supposed to, you have a cheat day that turns into a cheat weekend or something of that nature, big deal, whatever. That's not important. Chances are you are not an athlete. You are not a competitive bodybuilder. You are not someone who really has to worry all that much about a slip up where you eat a cookie. No. The slip up would be not getting back on it the next day. Eat the cookie. Have the cheat meal. Completely fall off during your vacation. just go easy enough on yourself to go, it doesn't really matter. I can get back on it tomorrow. It is the consistency with which you get back up that I find makes the biggest difference. And that, in a way, is going easy on yourself. Recognizing that the cookie or the failure to exercise is not the end of the world. What would be a little bit more damaging is if you let that derail you. If you go, oh no, I blew it. I missed one day at the gym. I ate the cookie. I ate the Big Mac. I ate whatever it was that I wasn't supposed to eat. And now it's all for nothing. No, it's not. Big deal. Go easy on yourself. I get it. I used to be very, very rigid with my exercise. I used to think, if I don't get back in there, that will have been a week I lost. And if I lose a week, and I used to tie myself up in knots about not exercising when I decided to kind of take control of my health and fitness when I needed to. And, well, what I came to realize was I could step out of the gym for a week or two at a time because I got derailed or because I had too much work to do, or because I just wasn't up to it, or because I was sick. There's all sorts of reasons why you can not make it to the gym, not manage to exercise that day. And I found that it really didn't matter because a year later, there had been some very big changes. Why? Because I'd been really rigorous, because I treated myself like my own drill sergeant? No, because I kind of kept coming back to things consistently. And that was really sort of the thing that made the big difference, was going easy on myself. I found that by not being so strict, I wouldn't stress about this, Britney. I wouldn't go, I missed a day. No, I'm more stressed. I'm like, it's whatever. I'll get back on it tomorrow or the day after or maybe the following Monday, but I will get back at it. When I moved to San Diego, I moved from Houston to San Diego, and everybody told me that when I went to San Diego, I'd be in the best shape of my life. They're like, oh man, you don't even know. You're going to be swimming. You're going to be running on the beach. You're going to be surfing and eating tofu and meditating and all this stuff. You're going to be so fit and so healthy and so tan and so ripped. It's just going to be disgusting next time we see you. And, yeah, it perhaps was a little disgusting, only because I managed to put on about 55 pounds. It was something. I moved to San Diego. I started a new job. The job was incredibly stressful. It had me basically in my home and at work constantly. There was no walking on the beach. There was no running. There was no swimming. There was no anything of that nature. And not only that, I lived in a hotel for like 3 months while I was trying to find a place. The real estate market in San Diego, I think, always was tough, and it was especially tough back then. It wasn't easy. And during that time, I didn't have a kitchen, so I was eating out a lot at restaurants. San Diego is a pricey place to be. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing is cheap in San Diego. So I hit on a brilliant little idea. I was like, I could pay for 3 meals a day and go broke, which I was doing rapidly, or there's all these all-you-can-eat buffet places around. I could just go to one of those and trough and kind of get by for the rest of the day. And so I would do that almost every night. I would trough. And remember that work schedule I was talking about? I wasn't moving around a whole lot. So between the sedentary lifestyle I adopted when working constantly and the all-you-can-eat buffets I discovered over the course of a year and a half, maybe 2, I put on, like I said, probably close to 60 pounds. That is unhealthy. It was not good for me. I started to hurt. And I started to really, really kind of be unhappy. And interestingly enough, it wasn't the being out of shape that bothered me, that sort of snuck up on me. I almost didn't notice until I decided, okay, my state of mind is jacked up. I need to exercise. Years before, I had a shrink, and I was going through a really bad bout of depression. I've talked about this on the podcast before, but the shrink was like, okay, you're really depressed. I can do two things. I can give you medication, or I can get you to commit to exercise. I was like, exercise? He's like, yeah. I was like, why on earth would I exercise? He's like, well, here's the thing. When you exercise, it releases a lot of the same chemicals as things like serotonin reuptake inhibitors, your Prozacs and things of that nature. Exercise releases the body's natural antidepressants. I was like, well, how come then everybody who's depressed doesn't just exercise? Why do these meds exist? He's like, well, a lot of the time people that are badly depressed can't get themselves off the couch to go exercise. And I was like, oh, well, gee whiz. What are my options? I can either take the pill or I can exercise. How often? He was like, at least 3 times a week, to the point of sweating. I was like, wow, that sounds like a pain. I'll take the pill, please. And my shrink was like, here's the thing. If I give you antidepressant medication, it could change your personality. And I've heard your show. I don't think it'd be a good idea if your personality changed to you. And I was like, oh, no, the personality, given what I do for a living, sort of pays the mortgage. So, okay, I'll give the exercise a go. Like I said, physical changes take an awfully long time, 3 months at least. But the mental benefits I noticed almost overnight. Now, to begin with, Britney and anybody else that's going through something like this, I did that thing where I was like, I am committed to this exercise program. 3 days a week in the gym, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Without fail, I will be in there doing the things that I said I would do. I'm not going to miss a day. I'm not going to skip a day. I'm not going to screw up. And, well, there were times where I missed a day or I skipped a day and I screwed up, and I kind of did what I think you're talking about. I let it really add to my stress. But here's the thing. I stopped being stressed out about missing a day or skipping a day or any of the above when, after 3 or 4 months, I noticed something. I'd started weighing myself. I didn't realize I'd gotten so badly out of shape, but I started weighing myself just so I could, well, kind of keep track of my practice. And 3 or so months in, I noticed, oh, that's quite a bit of weight that's come off. That's about 12, 15 pounds. And that wasn't that much when you do the math. I lost about 50, 55 pounds in a year. There's 52 weeks in a year, so I lost about a pound a week. This is not super aggressive. This was kind of easy breezy, and I was consistent with my exercise, but I wasn't in there every Monday, Wednesday, Friday like I promised myself. Sometimes the workload was just too much. Sometimes I was just too tired. Sometimes I couldn't find the motivation. And initially, that stressed me out. But about 3 months in, when I'd missed plenty of days in the gym, when I'd slipped up plenty of times in terms of what I was eating, I noticed I'd still lost, a significant amount of weight. I was like, the important thing is not that I beat myself up over missing something. The important thing is that I just kind of roll with it and get back in there. In fact, I could give myself a little treat every once in a while. I could slack off and eat whatever the hell I wanted to. And as long as I get back in the gym, it would be all right. And you know what? It was. And I guess that's when I learned how to take it easy on myself. I think a lot of people start doing things and they go into it full force, 100 zillion %, really kind of hard-headed, which is great. And I think it does work for a lot of people. But if you are anything at all like me, i.e. human, you're gonna slip up. And you stand a much better chance of getting back up again if you go easy on yourself. There's this new thing that everybody's doing, 75 hard. You heard of this? It is very rigid in that you have to stick to this program, which I think involves reading at least 10 pages of a book every day, not screwing up on your meal plan / diet / nutrition every day, and committing to exercising every single day for 75 days. That's a long time to go without allowing yourself a slip up. And there's a rule that is part of it where if you do slip up, the clock starts over. You've got 75 more days to go. Now, for a lot of people, that's an extremely appealing thing. There's a lot of people that are doing it and doing it hardcore. I don't know how many people go all 75 days without screwing up, but I took a look at the program. I was like, no, thank you very much. That could work great for a lot of other folks. I can tell you now that won't work for me because I'd screw up or life would get in the way. Again, go easy on yourself. You're not necessarily screwing up, but there's going to be times where you just can't make it, or you just don't feel like it, or it's just not a thing that you're able to do. Whatever it is, whether it's that 10 pages of the book that you didn't read, whether it's that meditation that you didn't do, whether it's that to-do list that you failed to do in the morning, whether it's that day in the gym, whether it's the right amount of cardio, whether it's doing a certain amount of sit-ups, taking a certain amount of steps. When you make yourself a bunch of really, really rigid rules in that way, it's really easy to be hard on yourself. And if you're hard on yourself, you don't necessarily feel like getting back after it. I can tell you now, if I tried to do this 75 hard thing, I'd slip up a couple times and then I'd just bail on it and I'd just be like, what was the point of that? And I'd probably be bummed out with myself and stressed out about what had just happened. But Britney, what you're talking about, being a teacher, educating the next generation, looking after a bunch of 8-year-old kids, taking on the responsibility of their education, their unbelievably vital development at that age. It's a big responsibility. It's a lot on you. And you're doing your master's degree at the same time. Or was it a PhD? I don't know, but it doesn't sound easy. And then saying, okay, I got to deal with stress, so I'm going to exercise. But then finding the time to do it is an additional stress. And if I'm reading it right, you're kind of allowing that to create more stress in your life. You wanted the exercise to be stress relief, and it's actually adding to the load that you're carrying around because you can't always find time to do it. I'm here to tell you from my personal experience that I have found that it doesn't matter if you can't find time to do it. If you can't, then don't, and go easy on yourself. Just do what you can when you can. Be yourself. Go easy on yourself. Be gentle with yourself, I believe the kids would say when they are indulging in that stuff called self-care. They have a point. And look, I believe there's time for strictness and adherence and discipline and all of the above. Without some degree of that, you're probably not getting where you're going in life. Don't misread this, what I'm trying to say. Or I don't advocate being a couch potato and expecting the world to come to you. That is never going to happen. You're going to have to take action, whatever that action is. But look, these things don't happen overnight. I would set yourself realistic expectations. I don't know if you've got any expectations for the exercise thing other than managing your stress levels, but enjoy the process. Think of it as at least a 3-month thing, I find. Don't expect to see any results, get any noticeable results for like 3 months. Don't beat yourself up if you don't make it to the gym, or you don't take enough steps, or whatever exercise routine you've chosen. Don't beat yourself up about it if you can't follow through one day. Just understand that if you stick with it consistently over time, in 3 months, you'll notice a difference. In 6 months, more so. In 9 months to a year, it'll be a different version of you, mentally and physically, if you do manage to consistently get back after it again. I think that goes for anything in life. I think that if you force yourself to reset the clock every time you do something you perceive as failure and start all over from square one, that's not good times, and that won't get you where you're going, at least in my experience. Different things work for different people. So, as you and I have discussed, I believe in exercise. I believe in writing that to-do list. I believe in the whole meditation thing. That has really made a difference when it came to managing stress. I think that the things that combat stress and depression the best for me are getting your heart rate up through exercise and your heart rate down through relaxation or meditation. But go easy on yourself. Look at the goal being long-term consistency. Look at a goal of coming back to it. If you do stop, if you do slip up, if you do step away from your routine, if you do decide to go on vacation, lie incredibly still, and eat horribly, whatever the case may be. You're a teacher. You understand this. Your kids that you look after, well, as they're learning, they don't completely forget everything if they're sick for a day. If they've got the flu for a week and they're out of class, sure, maybe it puts them a little bit behind where they want to be, a little bit behind the rest of the class, but it's not like those kids won't pass the 3rd grade, most of them, because of it. They'll get there in the end, and so will you. And if you or anyone else has any idea of how Britney can manage her stress, I'd love it if you chimed in. Leave it in the comments section or something of that nature, because we all have different things that work for us. For me, it is that consistency of exercise, meditation, and also going easy on myself. That is what gets me from A to B year in and year out. And like I said, taking it easy on yourself is an incredibly important thing. So please do that. That is it for me. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of my radio family. As always, this time that you and I spent together, it's the best part of my day. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again. Have a great one. Later.